Modern open worlds allow players freedom, a feeling of independence. Where linear game design walks us down a set path full of predefined challenges, open worlds allow us to experience a game world in much the same way that we experience our own. We make choices, we explore, we try new things, and we get into trouble, but that's okay. As technology develops, so too does the ambition of designers and players. Already we've begun to see the term open world become less and less accurate. Games can allow us to explore cities, continents, planets, galaxies, the universe. But as we shrug off the term open world as being too limited, the question remains, are we ready to do that? Have we mastered the design of a single world? Can we even agree on what makes a single world fun to explore, let alone an entire universe? I'm John Reardon, you're watching NWR TV, and this is a game design rant. The internet is all a-Twitter with recent details regarding the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But for many, as they look out across those vast green hills, those rocky canyons, and those snow-swept mountain peaks, a thought drifts in their collective mind. Looks kinda empty. Shortly before the release of Xenoblade Chronicles X at the end of 2015, I made a quick video explaining just how huge the open world of Mira really was. I put it up against some of my other favorite open world games like Elder Scrolls, Witcher, and Fallout. Xenoblade blew them all out of the water. Meanwhile, down in the comments, there emerged an interesting question. Though granted, you had to dig through a few flame wars and screaming fanboys to get there. When it comes to an open world adventure, is bigger better? The question was initially raised by many who were concerned that while Xenoblade sported plenty of room to run around, would there actually be anything to do on all that terrain? Of course, in my opinion, Xenoblade Chronicles X has plenty to do beyond simply exploring that giant world. From quests that see you resolving domestic issues, hunting down monsters, taking sides in complex political and religious debates, setting up and managing a planet-spanning network of mining operations, to investing in the stock market. And then there's the story. That too. Even after putting 150 hours into that game and finishing the main story, I still have so much to do. But alas, I digress. That original question, whether put up against Xenoblade or any other open world game, is valid and demands further thought. We often say that the video game medium is evolving, growing, becoming more than it was before. New technology allows us to go places with games we've never seen. New game designers bring fresh perspective on an industry fueled by imagination, but I often feel that evolution isn't quite the right term. Evolution implies that a thing is changing to be better. I prefer to think that these genres, particularly open world games, are experiencing clarification. Some may equate it to iteration, but it's not, at least not in the bad way. It's refinement. Let's look at one of the very first open world games, The Legend of Zelda on the NES. Now, at first glance, you may think that Zelda is a compact, open world full of stuff to do. Every screen is full of action and adventure. That must be what makes this open world exciting. Well, sure, fighting Tektites and Octoroks is fun, but I can fill any open world with bad guys and it doesn't make it exciting. Take a look at this. This is Watch Dogs. This game isn't very good. Now we'll get some enemies to show up. Nope, still not having fun. Alright, so combat isn't what makes an open world interesting. So what else could it be? Is wandering around the world fun? Let's look at Watch Dogs again. No? Okay. Alright, so that's not it either. Is it the dungeons? Watch Dogs doesn't have dungeons, so maybe that's it. But then again, the more linear Zelda games had dungeons too. We're looking for an experience that is an intricate and somewhat exclusive part of the open world experience. Wait a second, did that bush just burn down? Wonder what's inside there. Hey, awesome, a thing! Watch Dogs, do you have hidden rooms where I can find a thing? No? Get out of my life, Watch Dogs. Imagine I told you to go outside and explore a parking lot. No fun. Why would anyone want to do that? But what if I said that somewhere in that parking lot is $20? Now the parking lot looks like something you want to explore. Who doesn't want $20? A good open world game isn't just built on the exploration of an open world. It's built on discovering things within that world. It's that promise that around every corner might be an amazing discovery. Cool, so obviously you want a world filled to the brim with things to discover. It's just like you said, who wants a giant world with lots of empty space? I want to find things, so fill my open world with things. This is Witcher 3. This is the game you just described. It has stuff everywhere. Towns everywhere, people everywhere, quests everywhere, monsters everywhere, things to gather everywhere, caves, boats, horses, everything everywhere. Yes, this ought to be the perfect open world, and for many people, it is. And don't get me wrong, I really like this game. I think it's a ton of fun. But it's not what I consider an ideal open world. But why, says the viewer? Well, when things are everywhere, you don't really have that sense of discovery anymore, do you? I don't discover trees every time I go outside, trees are everywhere. In Witcher 3, stuff is everywhere. I never get a feeling of, whoa, look at this cool thing I just found, like I do when I find a hidden cave in The Legend of Zelda. As I said earlier, it's discovery, not exploration, that makes an open world fun, but in order for something to be considered a discovery, you have to engage in exploration first. You don't need to explore in order to find something in Witcher 3, stuff is just right there. In order to have something be discoverable, it also has to be possible to miss it, to not find it. Now, you all know I love Xenoblade, but another open world game that I've spent hundreds of hours in is Skyrim. I think many of you would join me in considering this one of the finest open worlds ever crafted. But what separates Skyrim from Witcher? Well, besides of course character animation. I mean seriously, Bethesda, all I ask is one good walk cycle. In my opinion, what makes the continent of Skyrim so engaging is the same thing I hear so many people express concern about in the comment sections of our Breath of the Wild videos: empty space. I've put a few hundred hours into Skyrim and its DLC. Having already been a fan of Elder Scrolls before its release, I picked up Skyrim as soon as it launched, and still to this day I can find more things to do within that game. A couple months ago I picked up the game and loaded up my primary character, who I thought had covered virtually every inch of Skyrim. As I cut through a large empty area on my way to a quest, something amazing happened. I found a town I'd never seen before. I knew I had never seen it before because the game told me as I approached it that I had discovered it. I immediately abandoned whatever quest had so recently been my primary concern to explore the town, talk to the people, and pick up a few new quests centered around this new place. What's incredible is this town was placed in the central area of the map, an area I'd been hundreds of times, but I'd never explored the particular section where that town was. Empty space led to exploration. Exploration led to discovery, and discovery gave me a feeling of satisfaction. That is an open world game. How about another example? While researching this video, I sat down with virtually every open world game in my collection, capturing footage as I went. A few minutes after booting up Wind Waker, I decided I would sail toward Windfall Island. Almost immediately, a storm rolled in. Losing my bearing on the island I was headed toward, I simply set off in a random direction. Amidst the storm, I came upon another island. On that island, I found a treasure chest, and in that chest, I found a treasure chart. I followed the chart across the map, where I came to an island guarded by enemies. After fighting them off, I set to work hauling up the treasure until I finally found it. Now then, where was I originally going again? Once again, empty space yielded exploration, yielded discovery, yielded fun. Empty space serves another function, beyond discovery. Let's go back to our friend Witcher 3. Now, once again, I really like this game. It's just that its open world seems to have been designed by people who fear empty space. But I don't want to see a bunch of comments about how I hate games that aren't made by Nintendo. Anyway, in Witcher 3, you'll regularly be told to travel to the distant town of Whoobawutsits to talk to some guy's estranged daughter or something. But then you'll leave and all these distant towns are like, right frackin' there. Like seriously, they're in walking distance. Why do I need to carry a message? Just speak at a moderate level and these people can probably hear you. Now I get that some people like these more compressed open worlds, but to me, this complete disregard for scale pulls me right out of the game. In Xenoblade, when they need an armed team to travel to Oblivia to make contact with some Ranthians, it makes sense, because Oblivia is literally miles and miles away, like real-world miles. Sure, I can fast travel, but not until after I've made that journey at least once before, so that I understand from personal experience that New LA and this Rothian camp are really far apart. It grounds the dialogue and story within the physical representation of the world and adds to the immersion. Plus, along the way, I may get distracted by something and discover a hidden cave, and then boom! The empty space gave us a sense of scale and rewarded our exploration with discovery. Perfect! In Wind Waker, when you leave home and Tetra tells you to say goodbye because you might not be back here for a while, she's not just saying that for the benefit of the story. She knows that you're going to the Forsaken Fortress, and it takes a long time to get from the Forsaken Fortress to Outset Island in the game world. The story and the world are supporting each other. It's fantastic. But of course, that doesn't mean that all empty space is good. And just like we have these two ways to use empty space to enhance a game, there are also ways to use empty space to mess it up. Let's look at those. First, we can mess up discovery. How? Well, by not having anything to discover. Of the many issues I have with Watch Dogs, this is perhaps my greatest complaint. I've heard a lot of people say that there isn't anything to do in Watch Dogs, but that's not really true. I mean, you can stop crimes, intercept convoys, all kinds of stuff, but it all happens randomly. You don't find this stuff by exploring the world, it just pops up and says, hey, come over here and discover something. But that isn't discovery. No more than random encounter in Pokemon is discovery, it's just the game saying, here's the thing. I didn't do anything to earn it, and because of that, I don't get the same feeling of accomplishment. But, to the benefit of Watch Dogs, it does at least have a decent sense of scale. At any point you can look around and tell that you're in a big world. This next game doesn't do that. Before the glorious time killer that was Skyrim, there was another Elder Scrolls game that ate up hours and hours of my life. Oblivion was one of the first games to which the now popular phrase, "See those mountains? You can go there," was applied. And it was true, at least partially. You could certainly go to the mountains, but finding a spot where you could clearly see them was another story. Oblivion was huge, but it rarely gave you a chance to appreciate it. Where Skyrim featured plenty of nice, open ground from which you could take in your surroundings and plot a course, Oblivion insisted that at all times you be either at the base of or the top of a hill, and that you be surrounded by trees regardless. While yes, you did occasionally get a wonderful glimpse across the vast continent, these moments were few and far between, making it difficult to keep your grip on where you were and how big the world truly was. A good open world needs not just empty space, but some flat space. Without open vistas, it's hard to judge scale, even if it's present. For me, empty space is not a bad thing. It helps to substantiate the narrative and draws me into the world. The best open world games grant me hours and hours of exploration without any incentive beyond my own desire for discovery. Yes, there should be plenty to do, things to drive me out into the world where my sense of curiosity can take over. But the world should never feel cluttered. Too easily, a designer's effort to entertain the player can result in a world that gives more feelings of claustrophobia than openness. And so we come back to Breath of the Wild. Look at all that empty space. Now to be fair, we know that there are plenty of towns and characters that Nintendo hasn't shown us yet. In fact, it seems as though they were completely removed from the E3 build. But regardless, there's no doubt plenty of empty space. The question is, how will The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild use it? Even from what we've seen of the game so far, we already get an incredible sense of scale. What I hope to see is not that empty space filled with things, but that within that empty space, secrets are hidden for the player to uncover. But what do you think? Do you prefer your open world games spread out and full of exploration? Or do you like a world full of things to do at every turn? Maybe you despise open world games entirely and like more linear games. Let me know in the comments, but before you scroll down there, don't forget to like the video so that we know what kind of content you enjoy. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to Nintendo World Report TV. You can also check us out at NintendoWorldReport.com, and if you're feeling extra generous, you can join a bunch of other awesome people who support us on Patreon at patreon.com/NWR. Once again, thank you very much for watching. My name's John Reardon, and I will see you next time.